there's going to be no left turns on Route 1 or 234 at all. So it's going to be a unique intersection project and design. We thought it was important that our citizens see this project and be able to begin to provide input for a road that's coming in town. A couple of things that you're going to see in this that is going to add a service road on 234 on the side where all of our businesses are, our McDonald's, the 7-Eleven, the Taco Bell, the Cleaners, and the BP. And then on the other side where Old Stagecoach Road is, going down to the Boys and Girls Club, that will generate a cul-de-sac type community. So this is our opportunity to see this project, to begin to, for the public to send us comments and feedback, and us to get, as they're in the final stages, to get approval for this project so that they can begin construction on this Potomac Shores Parkway. So just to give you guys a leg up. So we thought it was important that you see this project and see where it's at this particular time.
Mayor, I have a question or a statement.
Yes, sir.
This has already been presented to council once, with a lot of comments concerning this, concerning the service road and the cul-de-sac. So when we met with Potomac Shores concerning this, have you guys just turned a deaf ear and didn't pay attention to what the council had requested? Because if this is the same thing as what you've presented before, then it's obvious you have. But I'm willing to listen to it. But something like this should have been done at a work session, not during a regular meeting.
Sure. Try and get that as big as I can here. Okay. Good evening. I'm Andy Wagner. I'm with SunCal, developer of Potomac Shores. I brought with me tonight a couple folks that are working with me on this project from our civil engineering, J2 engineers. I have Jim Bischoff and John Wilfong at the back of the room standing up. I have our land use attorney, Pete Dolan, sitting down, and our traffic engineer, Kevin Sitzman from Grove Slate. First, I just want to give you a little summary. It's kind of a background on the, for those of you who haven't seen this before, or heard about it, or know about it since you're new on council.
There's only two of us that was here before.
The prior developer of Potomac Shores, which was known as Harbor Station, Kepler, had planned to build an extension and an overpass over Route 1 as part of a proper condition for their development of Harbor Station. The property was taken over by the bank back in about 2009. SunCal purchased the property from the bank in 2011 and rezoned the property in 2012 and changed the proper condition of this particular intersection from an overpass to a improved at-grade intersection, which at the time was, I know that Town of Dumfries had a incredible, a high degree of concern, let's say, about the overpass condition. So that alone, I think, is an improvement. But I'll go on. The off-site parkway, intersection improvement, and park and ride expansion are now part of proper conditions included with county rezoning PLN 2012-00420. The parkway connection is included in the Town of Dumfries 2012 comprehensive plan. Our construction plans for this project are broken into three sections. The off-site parkway connection, the off-site parkway, which we call off-site Potomac Shores Parkway, so if this works, which is about from here back to our project back here. The next section is the Route 1 234 improvements, which includes all of this, the little panhandle and along 234 and Route 1, and then the park and ride improvement or the park and ride expansion plan.
Can you zoom in on that, or you can't zoom in?
I can't zoom in,
Okay.
but I have some other exhibits that we'll get into that break it into the 3 sections. All 3 plans have been submitted to Prince William County, which was agreed upon that the county would take the lead in the plan review of this project. And those plans, the 2 plans, which include Town of Dumfries, keep in mind the park and ride plan is outside the town limits, so you won't be seeing that plan for review. But the 2 plans that include the Town of Dumfries have been submitted for review, and we're awaiting comments. Right-of-way acquisitions and construction estimate is about $36 million for this project, and it's covered by the issuance of a bond that gets repaid with a special assessment on the future owners of Potomac Shores properties. The timing of that bond issuance is tied to the development of the Potomac Shores, mostly with the town center itself being the timing mechanism that we need to issue the next bond, which may pay for part of this improvement. Right-of-way acquisitions, which would be this coming up shortly, cannot proceed without the finalization of the plats, which cannot occur without the first round of review comments. So far, comments have been received from all agencies except for the town. The town of Dumfries has been included in this planning process for this project from 2012, and I'm including here a list of meetings from 2012, meetings and presentations, and there have been work sessions that involved town council. If anybody wants a handout of this, I can provide that afterwards. The basic design elements, this is the actual connection from Potomac Shores to Route 1. This is a 4-lane parkway, which goes from the project limits of Potomac Shores just short, it ends just short of Route 1. It's approximately 1.25 miles long. The posted speed is expected to be 40 miles per hour. It includes a bridge over Wayside Drive. Nearly 90% of this project is outside of the town limits. The Route 1 234 improvements provides the connection from Potomac Shores Parkway down at the bottom of the screen, here and here, to Route 1, widens Route 1, widens Route 234, eliminates all left-hand turn movements here at the intersection of Route 1 and 234, adds a service road on the south side of Route 234, which parallels Route 234, and terminates Stagecoach Drive right here. The turn movements, and I'm going to show you a computer-generated video of how the traffic will flow, which will really, it'll be nice. It'll help you understand how well it flows through here. But essentially what happens is if you're northbound on Route 1 and you want to take a left on 234, you go straight through the intersection, turn right at the panhandle, and then another right, so you basically take a right-hand loop and then straight through the intersection. If you're going southbound on Route 1 and you want to turn left on Potomac Shores, which is a lesser volume of traffic, you would actually turn here at the panhandle left, and then left again down here at Potomac Shores. If you are heading eastbound on 234 and wish to take a left to northbound Route 1, you will instead take a left up here at the park and ride entrance, and this road will accommodate the traffic flow over to 234, where you'll take another left. If you're heading westbound on Potomac Shores Parkway and would like to take a left on southbound Route 1, you will instead go to the panhandle to turn left right here. That eliminates all left-hand turns at this intersection and creates a very smooth flow of traffic. The park and ride expansion adds 93 spaces. Again, this is outside of the town of Dumfries, but I'm sure you're interested anyhow. adds 93 spaces to the partner eye facility, adds the access road from Route 1 over to Route 234, so that it creates an intersection right here, which there actually is an intersection right now, but it just goes into this little strip mall over here. This area of the road will be widened, and the traffic can flow. So now, right-hand turns can also take this and go over to Route 234 and totally avoid the Route 1 234 intersection. So not only are the left-hand turns eliminated, we're also taking some of those right-hand turn traffic off before it actually gets to this intersection, before it even gets to town limits. Okay, if you just give me 1 second, I have to switch over to the video that I brought to you. So this video shows the traffic movements. Oh. Okay, it's on my screen, it's not on yours. One moment. And we'll try closing all this out. Well, it worked at the office.
Right.
Drag it to maybe so. That's a good idea. No. All right. Oh, there we go. Genius. Thank you, Kevin. That's Kevin, right?
So you have to start over.
Okay, 1 moment.
Can you see okay?
All right, here we go.
I can't see that. Can we zoom in?
It'll zoom in a second to the different, right now it's showing all of the intersections, not just the Route 1. See, now you're just looking at the Route 1.
So Route 1 is left to right, right to left?
Yep. It's only right turns on.
Everything,
Okay, up and down.
yeah, so if you want to take a left, if you want to take a left here, you keep going up here to here and come around like so.
To get to 95?
To go to 95. It's actually very efficient. You might not think so, but they have a lot of these in New Jersey, and it's very efficient. You just go straight through the intersection and loop around and straight through the next intersection. This intersection, the traffic's flowing much quicker than if there was a left turn, because if you think about it, there's no longer any delay waiting for left turns. It's just straight through movements. So it's straight on Route 1, and then it switches to straight on 234. There's no more waiting for the left at Route 1, waiting for the left at 234. Kevin can speak to this better than I can, but you're eliminating a major delay.
Can you slow down a little bit and specifically?
I can't adjust the speed on this, can we?
Can you, as talking, take your pointer and show me what's what, so that other people can understand too? What's Route 1, what's 234?
Okay,
what's the
let me back it up then. I'll back it up. I'll back it up a little bit. So this is Route 1. Well, now I can. I'll look at it. You can't see it. I'll use my phone. That's Route 1, Route 234. This is the Panhandle. This is the Wayside Drive intersection. And this is where Wayside meets 234. Now this is a blow up. This is Route 1 right here. This is 234 Potomac Shores Parkway, and here's the panhandle.
So 234 is gonna just run right into the parkway, possible, or can?
It turns into Potomac Shores Parkway.
It goes, yeah, becomes Potomac Shores Parkway after it crosses Route 1.
So what used to be a left turn, what used to be a stoplight where you would either go straight or make a left turn, is now a stoplight to only go straight to loop back around?
Correct.
So
You mean
there's
at
still a
this
stoplight
intersection?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So there's no left turns at all here.
So where,
Hold on, let's, so that we'll get we'll start pushing buttons then. Brooke?
All right. So you're putting a service road in by all the businesses along 234, the 7-Eleven, the nail salon, the cleaners, McDonald's, Taco Bell, and the gas station, correct?
That's right.
Okay. All right, I want to go to the cleaners. I need clothes dropped off. All right. Here's what I got to do. I got to come now. I live in AAA Heights, so what I have to do anyway is make a right. And then since you're closing off and creating a cul-de-sac there on Old Stagecoach Road, instead of me going there and going straight across, going up, making a left into the shopping center there, here's what I have to do. I have to make a right out of AAA Heights. I got to go down and make a U-turn on Route 1. Then I have to go back up Route 1, going north.
Where are you making a U-turn?
And I have, just hear me out, hear me out.
Okay.
This is outside of your scope of work, all right?
Okay.
So then what I have to do is I've got to come up to that little intersection there, make a right, go back onto the parkway here, make another right, go straight across Route 1. I've got to go all the way up and make a left onto the service road that you guys have created. So far I've had to make, let's see, and I'm trying to figure out how this is more convenient for me. All right, this is more convenient for the people that live down in the area that you're developing, but it certainly is a daggone thing convenient for anybody in the town of Dumfries. So then we have to come up, we have to come back down to that little panhandle, as you put it, come back up Potomac Shores Parkway, go back across 234, go back up to the very next light, make a left, go into the service road down there just to accommodate me going to the freaking cleaners, okay? So right now I've got to go through 1, 2, 3, 4.
You haven't traveled.
I've got to go to through 4 lights instead of me going to 1.
You haven't traveled a mile.
Let me ask
to go to
Kevin,
10 miles.
what's the current
So
level
how
of-
is this more convenient for the residents of the town of Dumfries?
Kevin, what's the current level of service on the left turn at Route 1 and 234 if you're heading northbound? This left turn is,
And boys, I'm telling you, I'm
It's
not here for
currently, I think
statistics,
it's
I'm here for practicality because I drive it every day.
right.
So, I mean, so currently, you know, the way we express the operation of intersections and movements at those intersections is level of service. And that's letters from A to F, with A being the least amount of delay and F being the largest amount of delay.
And so you
right
guys
now
got with
that-
VDOT about this?
Can he
Yes.
finish, please?
I'm
Let
just
you
asking a
finish.
question.
Let him explain so everybody understands this thing.
And so when we do traffic investigations and traffic studies, there's standard sets of equations and ways, you know, methodologies that we use to analyze that. That's all worked out with VDOT in their standard practices. And today the northbound left turn, in fact most of the left turns there, operate at level service act. It's a long delay in order to wait to do that. And what we've looked at in terms of the intersection, the quadrant intersection configuration here is, for instance, in the morning, if I'm going north on Route 1 to turn left to go towards 95, I have to wait for a long time. Sometimes, I'll get you the exact number, I don't have the exact number. So I have to wait for a long time to make that left turn. What the removal of those left turns does, in addition to improving the safety by not having multiple left turns, which is the cause of most accidents at intersections, is that it allows you to go around and make rights instead, which have less delay and less conflict, so it's safer and quicker. And in fact, for northbound left turns from Route 1 to westbound 234 in the morning, yes, it's longer to go through those other intersections, but it's actually quicker. So if you measure the travel time from someplace south of the intersection on Route 1 to, for instance, just west of the Park and Ride / McDonald's entrance, it's actually quicker to do it with this configuration than it would be with an at-grade intersection. And I know that there were discussions before about grade separations and how that is not great for the community and the businesses and stuff like that. So, you know, separate from that, there's the enhancement here of eliminating those conflicts, improves the safety, and it improves the ability of people to move through the area. And yes, there are certain movements that are done rather quickly still and rather directly, and there are some that where there's a longer travel path, but particularly for the peak hour, peak direction movements, those are quicker than with a standard at-grade intersection.
And before you leave, let me ask you, now this is the existing grades is a Jeep for a left turn, and the volume today is what, about 30,000?
Yeah,
North and south?
So the northbound left today has about 88 seconds of delay in the morning, about 102 in the afternoon. And that would get worse, obviously, with regional growth over time and additional traffic on the roadway.
Right, and that's where I was going next, is that the traffic growth is expected in between, what, 2,000 in the next couple of years to grow significantly.
Correct. So I would eliminate the 88 seconds of waiting, a minute and a half of waiting to turn northbound left, and instead go through and around the loop. And you can think, especially that movement there is not really any different than at, say, a Cloverleaf interchange, where you would be on the one road, go around the loop, and head, you know, 90 degrees left of where you were going, whether that's interstate or anyplace else.
A question for you. So
yes.
you, me and Brewer were the only ones here the last time you presented. So you got almost a brand new council you're looking at. The two main issues that we addressed during that time in 2012 and 2014 was the business service road and the cul-de-sac and the old Stagecoach Road. Can you just tell us how you address those two issues that we brought before? That's kind of like our biggest concern with the service road. I got a call from a couple of the businesses up there on 234 that threatened that if those service roads came in, that they will remove their business from the town of Dumfries, which is a significant amount of revenue that we bring in. It's the second largest source of revenue that we get from those businesses up there. So we're concerned, and our business community is speaking loudly in our ears about that service road. So we're concerned and want to know, how did you address those issues?
Well, first, let me say I've been in touch with the rep for McDonald's, and they don't seem to have a concern. In fact, it actually helps their entrance. I talked to the representative for McDonald's a couple times, 3 times in the last, say, year. That it actually widens their entrance. There's a traffic signal at their entrance now, anyhow. It really doesn't, it doesn't really affect McDonald's in a negative way. These other businesses, I mean, I don't know if they've reached out to as well, but currently the turning in and out, if you're turning left in or out of these businesses, it's extremely dangerous today as it is. And really turning into a service road is much safer and really not that much less of a convenience than just turning in. Anyone who tries to turn out of these businesses, taking a left, has to sit for a long time until they can get a break to, zoom out in front of oncoming traffic to get over here. It's very dangerous, and there's a long delay to do it anyhow.
Right, and the connection of the service road to the signal then guarantees that people turning left out of, say, the Taco Bell have a guaranteed gap in traffic that they don't have today. Yes, the McDonald's traffic can turn out at the signal, but the folks leaving, for instance, Taco Bell, don't have that guaranteed break in both directions of traffic to make that left turn safer.
So the service road is two ways.
Service road is both directions and connects back over to the signal, so that each one of those businesses now has a signalized intersection. And when we talk to businesses about where they want to locate, they want two things. They want a lot of eyeballs on their business, which 234 certainly has that, and then they want to have access, preferably at a corner location, but definitely at a signal if they can get it. And this brings a signal to those additional businesses that wouldn't be able to get a signal on their own. So that's, I think that's part of the reason why it's seen as somewhat of a benefit for it.
And the second point, in cul-de-sac and Old Stagecoach Road, we're already a cul-de-sac community. We even asked for some type of future tap into the Potomac Shores Parkway so that we can at least flow and get to the, what do you call it, the panhandle up
Right.
there?
Yes. The Panhandle intersection with Potomac Shores Parkway.
We know we can't have a five-way stop. Five
Right,
people tapping
exactly.
into one
That
stop
just
light.
doesn't work. Not on any road, especially a road like this. But there is the possibility for a future connection here. That it's on the, you know, the proffers speak to that being a possibility.
Okay, just a few questions. One, and I'll just go ahead and state them, you can go ahead and answer.
Okay.
Crosswalks, just to get from the commuter lot over to the service road, and will this service road have sidewalks alongside of it? Because the town is a very walkable community, and there are some areas where we need sidewalks, and I'm sure that, I love this visual, but is there any set aside for sidewalks there? And also with that cul-de-sac and dealing with our rush hour traffic, and I'm watching this visual, Route 1 North seems to be very busy. It seems to get congested still before they can move forward, and we have to wait, and we can't go the cul-de-sac. A lot of times we go Old Stagecoach Road to get around the local traffic, to get up Route 1. You know, even if we're going straight up Route 1 or trying to get to I-95, we have to take another loop just to get to 95. And my last question is, what is the speed limit of the, what do we call that quadrant? The panhandle.
I'm gonna let the engineer take those questions. Either one of you guys. Sidewalk?
You probably go up.
Yeah.
Sidewalk on the service road was number one.
There is pedestrian accessibility between 234 and the access road. There's also a sidewalk on the outside, correct? Or is it just this one on the outside? Okay, so there is pedestrian access that runs continuously along the frontage improvements of 234 and then crosses over to the parking lot.
So if I cross over and I want to walk to the nail shop, there's a sidewalk I can
Yep,
walk along.
and then you can walk all the way down around the filling station and back to some point. I'm going to go ahead and stand here. Back to some point here where once the Route 1 improvements are implemented, you'll be able to continue walking.
All right, so what about the traffic? I mean, and see how it's building up right now
Mm-hmm.
in your loop. And that concerns me because
You have to think about this time-wise because you see it backing up, but if you look at it over a period of time, and I think that's what Kevin was trying to talk about, was the delays here. He's taking really a minute and a half out of the cycle to get cars through this intersection. So you see them queuing up here, but it's a smaller period of time that you see them. And you know, Kevin described it perfectly. This concept is really, it's an at-grade intersection. It's a purpose of eliminating the 88 seconds, is that what you said? 90 seconds out of the cycle, getting people to move free-flowly through here as though it were grade separated.
and that would take into account the people who drive up Old Stagecoach.
It does not
Road.
take into account, because what that does is introduces another friction point or a conflict point.
But that's a reality for the town, so that kind of concerns me with the Route one north traffic.
What is the I'm trying to think, because I came through there this evening. I'm not, I'm not a resident here. I live in another county, but as I came out here, I sat there I wanted to see for myself what was 6 o'clock, and I saw these queues on 234 and on Route 1, and I looked over as I was making a left and I saw 3 vehicles on Old Stagecoach. So what that does is Old Stagecoach creates that timing in there that you're taking away from the primary movements, which is the regional movements, the people that's coming off of 95 to get to Dumfries or trying to get back into 95 or just staying on the Route 1 corridor.
And I'm thinking even our Boys and Girls Club, for example, if they're coming from 234, right now they come straight across and they come and they're right at Boys and Girls Club, but here they have to turn right on Route 1.
You want to just freeze that one? Just pause? Okay. So the project that is currently in review by the county and by town staff has taken into account the improvements of the Route 1 corridor that VDOT has been working on. And we understand that a portion of that will be addressed as with the VDOT project. And it's basically separating the intersections so that you have a far enough gap between the intersections to accommodate the movements that are being generated off of Old Stagecoach.
I mean, from what I see and from what I understand, I can see the benefits to Potomac Shores, but I can't see it for the town. If there was some way we could move our Stagecoach road traffic into Potomac Shores Parkway, that would be excellent.
I don't think this design precludes any of that, but as it's designed today, and as it's designed to impact, these are primary roadways. Any roadway has a route number less than 600 is a primary roadway. So looking at the primary roadways, not only have we addressed VDOT and Federal Highways concerns, but we've not precluded any type of possible connection in the future introducing at the quadrant intersection to say. So it's something that when the demand's there, the town or whoever would have to go through the same process we're going through now in modeling it and justifying it. But right now this intersection's addressing the regional traffic, which is really, I think, what Prince William County and VDOT envisioned these improvements to be done, because that's really what the interchange was doing, was to eliminate the signal so you had free flow here and free flow here, but then it was creating ramps. And it was also eliminating access to all the local businesses. So I think this concept is kind of the best you can get to address everyone's needs.
For the town. So thank you.
Yeah, I do want to point out though, I mean, look, building a road from here over to Stagecoach Road, that may not be a huge expense to build that road, but that's additional real estate that has to be acquired, which is the bigger expense in this. And additional studies that would need to be done to change the signalization. I mean, that's not something that we're contemplating with this project, though the town, if they feel it's justified, they could do that in the future. Like Jim mentioned, this doesn't preclude adding a connection here. But I think, like he alluded to, you really have to look at the volume of traffic and think about whether that really justifies the expense of making a connection there. I don't think it does.
Okay, so I have a couple comments that I just want to say. So first off, Andrew, in the beginning of your presentation, you said on numerous occasions that this is going to, the 90% of this project is outside of the town limits.
But I could, I was strictly talking about Potomac Shores Parkway.
Yes, I understand that. So, but what I want to say to you is, even though 90% of this is outside of town limits, it affects 100% of our residents, because this is our way in and out of the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say is, when all of this was put into play, it doesn't seem to me from where I sit that any consideration was given to the town of Dumfries. And so some ideas that I'd like to toss out that you will kind of consider in an act of good faith because of what you're doing to the town. Two things. One, can we, as a show of good faith, consider Potomac Shores aiding in the funding for us to do something different with Stagecoach Road? Maybe if we are stuck with having to have that as a cul-de-sac, that road itself needs a lot of improvements. It needs to be widened, it needs to be, you know, paved and maintained. So as a show of good faith, maybe you all consider figuring out a way to aid us in funding that. Because you mentioned, you know, possibly down the line, there would be some discussion on how we can make the connection, and we don't have that kind of time. Because you all are talking about doing this immediately, and it really will impact us drastically. Even the gentleman who addressed, when he came through, you sat to see what Stagecoach Road looked like, but what you don't see from sitting there for 30 minutes is that coming down Route 1, it's a double line. So you aren't even supposed to make a left into the shopping center there. So what you're supposed to do is either go straight across Stagecoach Road, or if you're coming from the other direction, when you want to come out, if you want to go south, you're supposed to go back to Stagecoach Road and either swing around north and come down south, or come out the back way. So if you cul-de-sac that, now you're taking one of those options away from our residents as well.
Okay. I just want to point out that we're making a huge improvement for the residents of Town of Dumfries.
You're not.
In this traffic,
I
in
don't
this
think
intersection.
that,
The traffic studies show that. The handful of people that use Stagecoach Road might feel inconvenienced, but again, the cost to make a connection over here doesn't justify the expense. This construction project is $36 million. We're not in a position to add cost to this project. I can't agree to that. We have proffered $250,000 to give to the Prince William County for additional studies that are needed along this corridor, and it's possible, from what I understand, that there may be some way to use those funds for Town of Dumfries. I can't guarantee that, I don't know that, but we are giving $250,000 as a proffer condition to the county for additional studies in this.
the other thing is, you mentioned about, you know, easing the flow of traffic. Most of the traffic that we see on Route 1 is not our local traffic. So you are in essence not doing anything for the Town of Dumfries. What you're doing is, yes, you may be easing the flow of traffic, but most of those people are passers-by.
But don't they impact the people of Dumfries by driving through here?
But you are now also negatively impacting the folks in the Town of Dumfries. We already have to deal with that, and what you're doing is essentially adding on to those barriers that we have to already deal with on a day-to-day basis.
I don't think the numbers agree with that, but I'll take that as your opinion and you decide.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, sir. If the Town of Dumfries does not agree or approve of this, where does it go?
I can't answer that. I don't know. Pete, you know?
No, I think you're referring to the approval. I think that it was agreed, and the county is the reviewer of the site plan right now, and I think just like other agencies are making comments, the town can certainly weigh in with a lot of these good comments, and their staff can consider them. I think, as Andy said, and I don't know this, I don't think the town has made comments on the plan yet, but it's been submitted, correct?
And that's submitted.
So you certainly have an opportunity to engage and make those comments.
And much like Councilor Nicholson has alluded to, and others, 90% of this is going to focus primarily on Potomac Shores. And the businesses along the side, we mentioned everything on the 234 side, but on the right side of Route 1 there, just beyond 234, how is that going to be accessed? Or are those businesses going to just have to go away and collect it up in that new bypass?
I'm sorry, on the right side of 234 to the south?
On the right side of Route 1 going north, there's a gas station there, there's a subway there, there's a couple of churches there.
Oh, to the north, up in here?
Yeah, and then
up,
you got...
above the Panhandle, you mean?
No. Right
Go
before you
where
get to
234 is.
Okay.
Right there. Now, go
Between
straight
here
up.
and here?
Go straight up, right in that area right there.
I don't think there's any businesses there, right? I think they're to the north of that.
Okay.
There are a few businesses
Is this Route
along.
1?
Yes,
That-
that's Route
This is
1.
the flyover. This is Wayside.
Yes.
No, that's not Wayside.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Wayside's
Wayside is
further.
farther.
You can't
Yeah.
see
Go back
Wayside
on
in
the
the
back.
Here,
But
let's-
there are businesses
Oh,
just
okay.
as you pass 234 right here.
Yeah.
There you go.
No,
All right.
There you go.
better.
Okay, there you go.
That it right there.
So they're under the.
There's
Route
nothing
1
in the
lane.
panhandle right now. This is just I think it's state property right
Okay,
here,
well, they're-
county
they're-
property.
It's
The
a pond.
businesses are up in here.
No, it's a pond there right now.
Yeah, there's a pond,
Okay,
but
there are businesses back here.
this is the junkyard right here.
What's-
This is the
What's going to
junkyard.
happen to those businesses?
The junkyard?
This business is right beyond the
Gas
junkyard.
station,
It's
Subway.
a gas
Yeah, look.
station, Subway.
Railroad, Subway, churches.
Those businesses are up in here. There's a very narrow strip of easement that's needed and a narrow strip of right-of-way that barely impacts those businesses. And I can show you those exhibits right now if you'd like to see
Now,
them.
when it comes to traffic,
Do you want to get, I mean, that's getting a lot of detail, but I can show them.
well, that's what we need is details, sir. We need details so we can get
Okay.
a clear understanding and the citizens do.
Well, let me just pull those up.
You know, while you're doing that, we're talking about traffic numbers and the traffic impact. I hope I can safely say this. Out of 8 years of being a patrol officer in this town, I probably worked at intersection the most. Tickets, speeders, what have you. And the general consensus is when 95 is backed up, like Ms. Nicholson was referring to, the overflow of traffic comes through the town of Dumfries. Okay? That happens quite every morning. I'm through that intersection every morning, usually before 5 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty simple at that time. In the afternoons, when I was an officer, I would sit there and get people running their traffic light. Not that many. Enough, but not that many. And the impact on traffic is what is to be expected. Now, see, you got McDonald's up there. That brings me back to another point. I don't know now, maybe the town manager can answer this question, or maybe the town treasurer can answer this question. At one point in time, maybe before the other McDonald's existed in town, if I'm not mistaken, that McDonald's was the #1 revenue maker in our town, most likely. Okay, in conjunction with that, we have the Taco Bell, we have the 7-Eleven right there on the left side, and as Mr. Brewer alluded to, the cleaners. If the average person in this town, this is our little comfort zone, this is anyone's expected comfort zone to do so, that's been severely disrupted, and it's going to cause our Stagecoach Road businesses, and there is room still there for development if the town chooses to go that way. That's going to greatly impact that too. And I know you're going to say it's in conjunction with the Route 1 widening. I get that, but your plan closes it.
Okay. It does. I think we already addressed that.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the impact to McDonald's, if you want to see that. Is this right here is a construction easement that we need. We don't need right of way. We just need a construction easement. And that's to widen this entrance and regrade it so it meets the new grade.
These primary roadways that service the community. So what VDOT's role is addressing the regional traffic needs. And I'm sorry, I think it was Councilman. Addressing the traffic needs not only locally, but you have to address them regionally. And really, this concept's kind of doing that. And it appears like it might be a little inconvenient, but in the long run, I think it really provides a safer transportation environment for all of the people in Dumfries that use this area for their transportation mode.
Okay, can we please get to businesses north of Route 1?
The businesses to the east of McDonald's on Route 2.
on Route 1. He was-
Okay. I just want to mention this. This is the only business on Route 234 that is impacted, that needs any right of way or construction. The other businesses we don't have it.
We got it.
So I'm moving to Route 1. So this is the first business to the north. This is a panhandle right here where it touches Route 1. That panhandle, that's where it connects to Route 1. This is the business, the one that says MRM. That's that gas station and the subway, and there's some little offices over here. This little line right here, that's our construction easement that we need. And this is, it's a 2-parcel property. See, it's these 2 parcels, so that's why I have 2 sheets. Same property. A little bit of construction easement just along the top, a tiny bit of right of way. I mean, just a sliver. It's virtually no impact to their business.
Where's the right turn into that business?
The right turn's right here. There's one turn here, and then there's, I can see a couple of them. I don't think all 3 of these exist today. There's like 2 right turns. There's one here, and there's one over here.
Would that be eliminated or improved?
They'll still have the right turn. We won't change that, right? It's still there.
It's a through lane.
Yeah.
They still have right access into the facility.
Right. Right in, right out. Okay.
Thank you.
The next property, oh, sorry, this one actually, isn't in order. This is Stagecoach Road right here, where it currently meets Route 1. This is Route 1, and this is Stagecoach. There's a little impact on the corner. You see this right here? It's called Azara, Virginia. Just a little impact here for grading.
So question, going south on Route 1, will people be able to turn into the BP?
Going
that service
south
road,
on Route 1, will they be able to turn right into
Yes.
the BP?
Yes, that entrance is not changed
Right.
south of the
Not
intersection.
changing it.
That would be part of it.
So let me go back, now I'm going north, so we're back here, here's the panhandle, this is MRM, and this is just to the north of MRM, there's a used car lot, it's a parts place, they have a little parts place, building, and then some used cars. So again, we have a little bit of a construction easement that's needed, and then a little, you see the darker area is right away, new right away. So it's pretty minimal.
Where's the existing right-of-way on that?
It's kind of hard to see on here, but it's a darker line. See the dotted line? It's kind of dark.
Because he's informed the town of Dumfries that VDOT never paid him for that property they took, and now you guys are looking to take more.
Well, we're going to pay him.
Well, that's neither here nor there, and it doesn't affect my pocketbook. That's his.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
can't.
on your new parkway.
Let me finish with the impacts.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I am finished, because this next parcel is, actually, we own it except for this teeny little thing where there's a Prince William County pump station. So, the Cosner properties, which, that's the junkyard, which we take, we need about 5 acres of that. That's 2 parcels of the junkyard right there that you're seeing. Let me back up. There's 1. There's 2. So our impact's our permanent impact's about 5 acres, our temporary impact's about 5 acres, so it's about a 10-acre impact overall.
So you guys are essentially getting rid of the LKQ.
So whether we get rid of them or not, I don't know.
Well, you're taking the property for your roads, so.
Right, the Cosner's on this property, Cosner Real Estate owns the
Yeah.
property. LKQ is
Correct.
leasing it
Yeah,
for
we
the
know all about it.
auto salvage.
Yeah, we've lived here for 35 years, so
Okay.
we know exactly what's going on here.
Well, I mean.
Now, my question to you guys, you showed us your little road here on what you want to do. You showed us that you want to close off and make a cul-de-sac out of one of our roads, and the business is getting out of that. Good luck with that, because that's going to be impossible. Normally what they do now, the business is there, the air conditioning company, the people that own that gymnastics place and the Boys and Girls Club, things of that nature, they enter on that road and they exit on that road at that particular light. I know you've had to have done traffic studies for Prince William County because they require it. When that place, your Potomac Shores, I've been here since this thing started with Kettler, okay? So I'm fully aware of what's going on here. What is your traffic count coming in and out of there? Because you're adding to ours.
Yeah, the traffic
Sorry,
count
so
coming
the-
out of
so the-
Stagecoach where it meets Route 1.
No, your Potomac Shores Parkway where it
Oh,
meets
the Potomac Shores Parkway.
234.
So overall, including the quadrant movements that are partially Route 1 based, that's about 40,000 cars a day. And a lot of those, again, are turning movements because that's within the quadrant intersection. So
This is after you
farther-
fully, this is after you
this
fully
is everything. This is all the
built
homes, all
completely, the
whatever,
clubhouse,
3
golf
million
course,
square feet
and
of
Jack
office
Nicklaus's
or-
house back there and all the other good stuff. This is after, totally complete, everything.
Yeah.
40,000 additional cars.
Yeah.
People, 40,000 additional cars on that road at 234.
Well, that's not additional because that's rerouting some of the Route 1 corridor.
Right, but the majority, I mean, if you didn't reroute them, they'd be heading straight on Route 1, or they'd be making the left there at 234, so you redo the intersection, so therefore, your, this traffic count, you pretty much caused yourself. Proffers, what total proffers did you guys promise Prince William County on this project, overall project?
Total proffers, I don't know, we have a book of like this thick. I don't have much. So we have a lot of proffers.
Yeah, I know. I spoke to the,
This is one of them, right?
one of the many. But what I was getting at is we had negotiated with Kettler on proffers for this, and you know, they fought like a fish out of water. You know, didn't want to do some, but they agreed to the rest of it. So, and one of them was the light across from Tripoli Heights. They agreed to put in without any kind of cul-de-sac there on Old Stagecoach. So, have you guys offered, because the town can't demand it, you guys have to offer it up, have you guys offered any proffers to the town of Dumfries?
I don't think Kettler offered any. You said they fought like a fish
did.
not to do them, and we're not offering any either.
Okay. All right.
But I also can say that Kettler's project was quite a bit different than this, and would have been a much bigger impact to the town of Dumfries.
6 of them had.
I worked for Kettler.
I mean, you guys were gonna put a buttload of houses back there anyway, so, I mean,
Okay.
that's what you got now, so.
All
It
right.
does impact the town of Dumfries quite a bit. You know, these improvements that you're talking about on 234, I personally have talked to everybody in that shopping center, as well as McDonald's, Taco Bell. They said if they come in, they're leaving, because what they're doing is they're cutting off business from their business. I said, guys, you know, right now what they did was this 234 was improved one time. They moved our boundary, okay? When you do this improvement on 234, you plan on moving the boundary again?
No, we're not. We're not moving the. We're not
So it'll
moving
be
the
center
right of
lane.
way. We're not moving the right of way, except for where I showed you at McDonald's. Well, that's just a construction easement. I think. Do we have a teeny bit of right of way there that we need? No, no right of way, just construction.
So are you doing any type of construction concerning that commuter lot?
Yeah.
Are you taking some of the commuter lot to do this?
To do the Route 234 improvement? No, we're adding 93 spaces to the commuter lot.
Of course you
A huge expense.
Hmm?
A huge expense. That commuter lot's
Of
got
course
some
it is. You
significant
wouldn't have
rates.
gotten Maureen Cadigan's vote on this if you didn't. So, you know,
In her vote, she said.
well, one thing we need to do, council, is, you know, I think that we need to discuss this in great length at the work session.
So,
coming
yeah,
up.
we'll put this in on the work session and put our resolution with our comments and submit there. That's what I'm putting in my notes, so yeah.
Okay, thanks for having us.
What, yeah,
Are there any other questions?
yeah, we're gonna let
So
Council
are
Lady
you gonna
Miles. Council Lady Miles, and then I'm gonna get the planning commissioner, the chair of our planning commission, just to give you comments and feedback, and then we'll wrap this up.
Well, since we're going to continue this in our work session, my question was more for Christy, it was for you.
Okay.
I would like to know what our recourses are in terms of this project and how we move forward, what positions the town of Dumfries can play.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. I wasn't here when they worked on it before. I don't know what was turned over to the county. I mean, but just looking at what's happening, I mean, there's nothing that doesn't preclude us from tapping into the road and that kind of thing. But what they are doing is cutting off the town's road and saying, well, we're not precluding you from coming and tapping into ours, when really, why should the town have to pay for a new road and connect to the parkway when that's a burden that is being shifted to a small town with little funds, and all these proffers are being given to the county, who has money, and no proffers are being given to the town. And I think very little consideration has been, from what I've seen, given to the town, and it's something that we certainly need to be looking into, because it looks like they're not precluding us from doing anything, but the burden is all falling on the town. It's not something that the town should have to shoulder, that burden, to make access to the Boys and Girls Club possible. All these access to these places that are being cut off for that cul-de-sac road, which the town has been saying from the very beginning how important it is, and it appears to have fallen on deaf ears. So that is something that we'll have to reach out to the county and talk to them about, and find out what our recourse is and what our options are without the burden of the town. I mean, they're putting, they're taxing the people in the Potomac Shores to build this road, and they're saying, the majority of it falls in the county, but it impacts the town. And 8 out of 11 businesses that are taking property from are in the town, and the town is being largely ignored on their concerns. So it is something that we're going to have to look into.
To address Councilman Brewer's concerns, when Supervisor Cadigan made the motion to approve this, in her motion, she said to work with the town of Dumfries in the design. So if you go back and you look at the comments on that motion, Supervisor Caddison said, work with the town of Dumfries in the design.
It says coordinate, which we...
Yeah, coordinate, work with us, what you said, half a dozen one way, half a dozen the other. Yeah, there you go. Let me give our chairman of our planning commission an opportunity to make some comments. And then
my comments are on the timeline for people going northbound on Route 1 out of Dumfries, wanting to make a left-hand turn the way it is right now. I think the timeline was mentioned of 1 minute and 30 seconds roughly. Okay, we're going from 1 stoplight to 4 stoplights now to get onto 234. If each stoplight cycles at 30 seconds, that's 120 seconds. You're talking the same timeline or more. Also, on the Panhandle, when you take that right off of Route 1 to go down to your Potomac Shores, how many lanes is that to make a left-hand turn?
Can I just say one thing about this?
Wait a minute. Wait, let's go with the left-hand turn.
Okay.
Out of off
so can you repeat the question?
Yes, on the Panhandle, left-hand turn on the Potomac Shores to go up towards 234. How many turn lanes do you have?
Okay.
When you're coming off of northbound Route 1, you turn right onto the Panhandle. You come down to Potomac Shores Parkway. Then you make another right to head towards 234. How many turn lanes do you have on the Panhandle to head north or up towards 95?
Mr. Mayor, may I make a statement?
Yeah.
I just wanted to address a couple things, and including this comment. It would be, I think we have coordinated with the town. I know there's some new faces on this council. There's 10 or so meetings that have occurred over the years. We also committed to and stood by a coordination effort. We actually included that in the voluntary proffers. You can share those with you. We're very much here to coordinate with you. There is absolutely, this is kind of challenging for us because we were viewing this as just kind of a quick update. Very good input. What I would like to, Mr. Mayor, is suggest that you can have that opportunity to list all those things for us. You have our engineered plans that have now been shared with you. The county has made those plans available. We have our traffic impact studies available for you and your staff. We would welcome that kind of review, and if you could help articulate, we're doing the best we can here, taking all these notes down, but if you could articulate that and make those comments back to the county, we can get some answers to you. Might be able to also share some of the studies that we've been referring to tonight, open those up to you and your staff. So while we may not have an answer for everything being raised tonight, I don't know how to answer your question, sir. Right. If we can include that in the package, and we'll get answers to
I'll get it to the Mr. Kokar, and he'll
That-
support it.
that would be
You
very
know,
much
Because I
appreciated.
just don't see how it's gonna be a shorter time.
Right.
You're adding 3 extra stoplights. Even if you cut down the cycle time to 30 seconds at each stoplight.
Yep.
That's another additional 90 seconds, that's 90 seconds. Then you already had your 30 seconds at the, to make a left-hand turn on 230. I just don't see where it's saving any time.
So noted.
And that was made, a comment that was made by y'all.
We'll try to
that it
address
would
that.
save time, and it's not going to.
Thank
We'll do
you.
that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. We're gonna take a 5-minute
Thank you.
recess to get all this disconnected.